uninjured people is what they do. It's all they do. Call all nines.
From the station that's on your side, News 12, first at 5, continues.
We're keeping an eye on a few strong to severe storms just south of the CSRA right now. A tornado watch is in effect. We're going to toss things over to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale.
Out of our station, you can see we just had that quick passing band of showers pass on through. A few breaks in the cloud, but definitely some wet, slick roadways out there, so stay safe if you're going to be out and about. In that eastbound lane of I-20 crossing the Savannah River has been pretty slow moving here over the last 30 to 45 minutes. We're dry right now here in Augusta, but more rain later tonight. We'll have a full update in just about 10 minutes.
Thanks, Riley. Friends and family still trying to process the loss of a 15-year-old Augusta teen whose life was cut short by gun violence. Those close to Zaire Person say he was an honor roll student, athletic, and a bright light to his family. He was shot and killed last Thursday. A week later, there's still no answers when it comes to Zaire's case. Our Hallie Turner here with us now. Hallie, the tragedy is hard enough for family to deal with, and there's still little information here. What do we know right now?
Well, deputies responded to reports of shots fired on Old McDuffie Road on April 6th at about 8:48 that night. And that's when they found 15-year-old Zaire Person shot in the upper body. An ambulance then took him to AU Medical, where he died about an hour later. There's still no suspect in custody, but the loss of this 15-year-old is impacting the community in a big way. His old rec department football coach tells me those who knew Zaire say he had a passion for sports, and he was a leader on and off the field. He played under the leadership of Coach Michael Miles for 3 seasons, but their relationship grew just beyond the sidelines.
Every time he had a game, or if it was basketball, or if it was football with Butler High School, or playing with, I think the organization Net, he would let me know and I'd be there. You know, I didn't shy away from that. I said, I made a promise to the kids. Once you turn 18, you make your own decisions. But until 18, I'm going to be a part of your life. And that's what I try to do.
Now, Zaire did play football at Butler High School, but coming up all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we dive deeper into that call Coach Mike got on April 6th and how he's making sure the legacy of a young leader lives on.
An absolutely tragic story there. Thanks for keeping us updated on that, Hallie. Well, turning now to Augusta Locally Grown, they've kicked off this year's Indoor Veggie Park Farmers Market season. It's at the Hub for Community Innovation on Chaffee Avenue in downtown Augusta. It's taking place from 4 to 7 p.m. You'll find farmer vendors, local growers selling their fresh organic veggies and fruits. Food insecurity is a big problem in many parts of Richmond County, so this is a huge deal for people in the surrounding area to go and check it out tonight. You still have plenty of time, about a little under an hour and a half to get out there. Well, recently, Grovetown's police chief sent a letter to Georgia Governor Brian Kemp asking for an expansion of retirement benefits for peace officers. In that letter, he explains how it's one factor that could help recruitment and retention for agencies across the state. Other agencies in Georgia calling officer recruitment a crisis. As Washington News Bureau reporter Peter Zampa reports, some on Capitol Hill are hoping to address the gaps.
It's not going to get better anytime soon.
An aging workforce, public image problems, and low pay. The nation's law enforcement agencies have a serious hiring problem, according to Jonathan Thompson, executive director of the National Sheriff's Association.
You can't snap your finger like you're looking for unskilled labor and just put a gun and a badge or a star on them.
Thompson says some agencies are experiencing 10 to 35% vacancy rates. He says the problem was brewing before the pandemic, but believes it's now at a full boil. Thompson adds the dangerous nature of the job and people from both political parties attacking law enforcement damages recruitment.
I'm not going to get rich. I'm going to have so-so benefits, and I'm going to be hated just because I believe in the rule of law.
Georgia Democratic Senator John Ossoff introduced legislation that would boost funding for a program that local agencies can use to hire more personnel.
What communities need are the personnel necessary to ensure public safety and policing that is accountable and professional.
The legislation calls for more funding to the so-called COPS hiring program. Local agencies can apply for this money that they then can use to make more competitive salary offers. The bill also requires more stringent background checks to ensure quality hires.
We want to make sure that only the most highly qualified and suitable candidates are in these roles.
The legislation has bipartisan support, but it's unclear if or when it will come up for a vote before the full Senate. Reporting in Washington, I'm Peter Zampa.
Any parent's worst fear is dropping their kids off into someone else's care and finding out they were hurt. A woman accused of abusing children while employed at a daycare center in Lexington County pled guilty to all charges this morning. 24-year-old Brianna Audette was caught on camera abusing at least 29 students enrolled at Harvest Daycare in preschool. Footage shows a month's worth of Audette grabbing students by their arms, hair, and shoulders while yanking them so hard that their feet lifted off the ground. Parents of those students were also in court this morning telling Audette and the judge why she should get the maximum sentence for these crimes.
Not only were our children physically abused, but they had to spend hours, days, and weeks watching a trusted adult lay hands on other children. The psychological ramifications of that are unmeasurable.
No word yet on how much time Audette is facing. There's a lot of action taking place with large crowds all over the golf course for the RBC Heritage Open. It's day one of tournament play. Golf fans are watching some of the world's best players. Many will be watching the 2023 Masters champion Jon Rahm, who just recently said that he was not going to be taking time off after playing at Augusta National. Some fans who have noticed, or who have been there, have noticed a change in atmosphere at Hilton Head Island's PGA Tour event that they say that just seems bigger this year. As we take a look at the leaderboard, Rahm is currently 1 under, tied for 29th. That may have changed, but a big name not in the tournament this year is Rory McIlroy. A massive fire sending toxic smoke into the air in Richmond, Indiana is close to being put out. Fire officials say a recycling plant caught fire, burning plastic and other chemicals. Thousands of people were evacuated or put under a stay-at-home order. It's a fast-moving fire, the mayor says, started in a tractor-trailer. The EPA is monitoring air quality and testing to see how dangerous the smoke is.
These are very fine particles, and if they're breathed in, can cause all kinds of respiratory problems, burning of the eyes, tightening of the chest. It could aggravate asthma.
Health officials add that fortunately the toxic compounds they are looking for, they're not seeing, but the smoke is still harmful there. Well, listen up, parents. Do you talk with your child or teen about internet safety? Grovetown police say in this day and age, it's important to cover topics like online predators, cyberbullying, and sharing too much information. The department says if you need resources, contact Grovetown Police Department and ask to speak with its investigators who are specifically trained in cyber crimes. Former President Donald Trump returned to New York for the second time in 2 weeks to face another legal battle. Details when we come back.
And we are tracking some very strong thunderstorms just outside of the CSRA. We'll have a radar update and a look at the rest of the week's forecast just after the break.
Streaming on Paramount Plus.
Well, check out this drone video from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That area has just been pounded with rain over the last 24 hours. You can barely make out the roads here. There have been evacuations with safety officials urging everyone to stay inside. I mean, we've seen video. We've been talking about it, Riley, on Twitter, social media, about how it just looks like rivers going through downtown Fort Lauderdale out there.
Just incredible rainfall there in South Florida. It was really continuous with just rain rates 1 to 2 inches per hour, and it lasted several hours for them. They actually estimate that it was between 18 to 20 inches of rain that fell in about a 15 square mile radius around Fort Lauderdale. Significant flooding for them over the last day or so. That system that brought them the wet weather yesterday, that's now closer to us, and this is actually bringing us warm and humid outside. And then later into the afternoon, we are expecting another chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms out there. Luckily, as we head into the weekend, Saturday we do dry out before more storms do unfortunately show up to end the weekend on Sunday. Looking ahead past the weekend, we are expecting a beautiful week next week. Lots of sunshine in the forecast Monday through next Wednesday.
Thanks, Riley. Former President Donald Trump returned to New York for the second time in 2 weeks to face another legal battle, this time appearing for a deposition in a civil fraud lawsuit. Michael George reports on the case that could ultimately drive the Trump family business out of the state.
Donald Trump waved to supporters as he headed for his deposition in New York. His motorcade drove past chanting crowds, arriving at the offices of Attorney General Letitia James, who's filed a civil lawsuit over his company's business practices. Before the meeting, Trump inflamed the rhetoric, posting on social media, "I will be heading downtown to meet with a racist."
I do.
During a deposition last year, Trump invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 400 times, calling the case a witch hunt.
Anyone in my position not taking the Fifth Amendment would be a fool, an absolute fool.
But this time, a source familiar with his legal team's planning said he was expected to answer questions. The lawsuit accuses Trump, 3 of his children, and their company of a long-running fraud, saying they overvalued assets by billions of dollars. The $250 million suit describes a scheme to get tax benefits and preferential loans.
The inflation of his assets, it seems like they have a very compelling case against him.
Trump denies any wrongdoing. His attorney said in a statement the former president, quote, looks forward to educating the Attorney General about the immense success of his multi-billion-dollar company. The case is unrelated to the felony criminal charges filed against Trump last week. It's scheduled to go to trial in early October. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Child actor Drake Bell is home and safe. The Daytona Beach Police Department updated an earlier post saying they were looking for Bell. That earlier post on the department's Facebook account today read officers are looking for Jared Bell. The star's legal name is Jared Drake Bell. Bell starred on Nickelodeon's The Amanda Show and Drake and Josh in the early 2000s. Well, the FBI sends out a warning to travelers: do not use public charging stations at airports. What you should do instead in our What the Tech segment.
First alert.
Your free in-home consultation.
What makes the Eichholz Law Firm different?
For starters, we've served this community for over 45 years.
And we know that every client is unique. We consider you friends, neighbors, and family.
We prove it in the way we fight tirelessly for your justice.
Let the Eichholz Law Firm fight for the justice you deserve.
Spring is here.
A consumer warning about the FBI and charging smartphones in public using charging stations you often see in airports and other public places. Agents warn that bad actors have figured out how to install malware on phones plugged into those charging stations. Our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker explains.
What the Tech, sponsored by Wow Internet.
A long day in airports and your phone will need charging. Airports have these convenient chargers under seats, maybe a wall of them. But the FBI says they're unsafe and you should never use them.
The concern is so-called bad actors have figured out ways to install software on public charging stations to steal information on anyone's phone. It's called juice jacking. You plug your phone into one of those compromised chargers, and the bad guys can not only see what's on your phone, but it can install malware on it so they can get that information even after you unplug the phone.
Unfortunately, Apple has safety features to protect an iPhone or iPad from juice jacking. If you plug your phone into a charger and see a prompt that says, trust this computer, that's a warning. It isn't just a charger. If you see that when using a public charger, unplug the phone. If you just have to use those charging stations or a public computer in a hotel or library, you can pick up one of these data blocking adapters that prevents your phone from sharing or receiving data. Another option is to use your own charging block and plugging it into an electrical outlet. It'll charge faster too. Or maybe, and even better, pick up a portable charger. You can find these for under $20 now and take them wherever you might need it. Anchor and other brands make these portable chargers that connect to phones wirelessly so you won't have to keep up with a cable.
The FBI issued a similar warning a couple of years ago to travelers. They will not say that they've seen an increase in compromised charging stations, only that it is possible. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
In the same warning, the FBI urges travelers to be careful of public Wi-Fi networks and to refrain from doing banking or other important work while on a Wi-Fi network. Well, the cost of putting food on the table is down. Grocery prices fell in March, which is the first decline since September 2020, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The data shows indexes for fish, eggs, poultry, and fish, again, fell 1.4% from February to March. Fruits and veggie prices also dipped slightly. Bakery items like cereals and non-alcoholic drinks as well were among the products that did become more expensive. Although this month-to-month decline is a relief, grocery prices are still more expensive year to year.
We are still keeping a close eye on some pretty strong storms just south of the CSRA. This rain band's going to continue moving south to north and will impact most of the area for the rest of this evening. We'll have a full look at that after the break, but let's get a quick update on our latest winner for our Plunkett Heating and Air Sunshade giveaway. A big congratulations to Daisy Graham from Aiken, South Carolina. To get your own sunshade, just go to wrdw.com, click on contest, and you can enter your email right there. Now look at the forecast just after the break.
You have Law Little Special. We can safely remove any tree, anywhere. Guaranteed.
To learn more, visit southerngrindstumpandtree.com.
Wherever I go, I'm always keeping an eye on the power lines. In my home of Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria showed us what can happen with a weak and outdated power grid. So I became an electrical engineer, and now I work for Georgia Power. We're investing in the latest secure technologies, and we're building the future of energy today. Our customers are counting on us for a modern and dependable power grid, and I'll be keeping an eye out to make sure they get it.
How do we decide what hotel to book? Fear not, I got you. Choice Hotels has a hotel for every type of stay. Like a comfort with the kiddos. Spacious. That's what they all say. Stay twice and get a $50 gift card when you book direct at choicehotels.com.
Come to the Garden City